While everyone was obsessed with the plot twists and the performance in The Housemaid, I couldn't stop thinking about something else. Millie and Nina have very similar lives. Nina had an affair with a married man, which kind of sent her life in a downward spiral where she felt extremely vulnerable and helpless, and Millie does the same. They are both trapped by the same man in the same attic, both one mistake away from losing everything. But their psychology, completely different. While Nina collapses, Millie never does, and the most disturbing irony is, the calmest woman in the story is the one with the least safety net around her. She's the one who could lose her freedom, literally ending up in prison forever, and yet she's the one who keeps standing up for herself and for the people around her over and over again. Welcome back to the Boss Babe Blueprint, and today we're breaking down the hidden psychology that makes Millie almost impossible to break and the exact contrast with Nina most viewers completely missed. Because this difference isn't about personality, it's something way deeper. I call it the C.A.L.M Code, or the C.A.L M Code, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. I rewatched the film just to confirm something. Millie only cries once in this film, and it's during that gruesome attic scene where Andrew punishes her. But other than that, nothing. She's composed when she's wrongly accused, humiliated, and psychologically tortured by Nina throughout the movie. Even when she's back in prison, charged with manslaughter from her teenage years, fighting for parole, and having absolutely no one to help her out despite being guilty. There is not a single moment where she completely falls apart, and at first, it almost feels unrealistic. Like, who doesn't react or break a little under that kind of pressure? But her calmness isn't personality, it's conditioning. She spent 10 years in prison, and that doesn't just change your mindset, it changes your nervous system. Now, most of us will never experience something that extreme, but we have experienced moments where reacting emotionally would cost us. This is where composure from the code comes into play. It can be an argument where yelling would damage the relationship beyond repair, or a workplace situation where reacting impulsively could flip your image and reputation. Maybe even in a social setting where showing anger or hurt would be used against you in the future. Those moments where you realize very quickly that a reaction from you can make this worse. And that's when emotional control becomes survival. Not physical survival like Millie's, because your life is not going to be at stake, but social relation and professional survival. When you're repeatedly in environments where staying calm keeps you safe, your body learns something. It learns that stillness protects you even though it would be human or normal to react. That's exactly what happened to Millie. In prison, panic could escalate danger, so her nervous system adapted. This way, stillness became protection for her. Now, is it actually possible to train yourself to stay calm under pressure like that? Or is Millie just written unrealistically strong? And the answer is yes. It is possible. The research on long-term self-control shows that people who repeatedly regulate their emotions under stress develop more stable decision-making in crisis later. Their brain literally gets better at not spiraling. And you can see this pattern in real life too. Look at her stillness. She's not emotionless. She's just regulated. That's the difference. Now, the real life skill you take from this, that staying calm is moments where life feels overwhelming, even when it would be completely human to react emotionally, is a form of survival. Basically, calm helps you think clearly inside the situation. It helps you respond instead of reacting. And the decisions you make in that state don't just protect you in the moment. They protect your future decision-making abilities. And being calm isn't about how others see you, or it's not about appearing composed for the outside world. It's for you. Because calm keeps you in control of yourself. Millie stays neurologically steady, and that difference leads directly into the second element of the code. A. Agency. There is a scene that both Millie and Nina go through when Andrew locks them in the attic. Nina is trapped there first. He forces her to pull out 100 strands of her own hair with roots. Later, Millie is locked in that same attic. He orders her to make 21 cuts into her own stomach. They should be long, deep, and precise, and if they aren't deep enough, she has to start again. Both of them ultimately end up going through their punishments because they have no other choice. However, the way they move through it feels completely different. Nina sobs through it. She's shaking and completely overwhelmed. It feels like something is happening to her and she has no grip on it at all. Then there's Millie. She is also crying. She's in pain. Of course she's terrified. But why does it feel different? Why does it feel like one of them is breaking and the other one is calculating? Because Millie moves like someone who still believes she has a choice inside the nightmare. There's a quiet sense that she still has some control over what's happening, even if it's microscopic. That's because one has agency and the other doesn't. This is exactly why the attic scene matters so much. It strips everything down and shows you their psychology without dialogue. Two women with the same circumstances, yet completely different internal positions. So, how can two people go through the exact same trauma and walk away with complete different stories about it? Let your psychology nerd explain the difference. It's called the locus of control, where one will say, "There was nothing I could do," and the other will say, "I did what I had to do." People with an internal locus of control believe their actions still matter, even under threat, chaos, and even when they don't have full power. Their brain keeps searching for leverage, for options, and strategy. Their minds ask what they can do here. On the other hand, people with an external locus of control believe they're helpless, that life just happens to them. So when something bad happens, it feels final, like the end of the road. You can clearly see those two patterns inside the attic, where Nina reacts like someone drowning in the situation and Millie reacts like someone scanning it. Millie is the one who eventually ends the cycle because she never fully gives up the belief that she still has influence. And I love how psychology and pop culture can be perfectly tied into Timothée Chalamet's advice that it's perfectly here.
Master your fate, you could be the captain of your soul, but you have to realize that life is coming from you and not at you, and that takes time.
Wow. This is where agency in the code comes into play. Still, composure and agency don't fully explain Millie, because staying calm is one thing and believing you have control is another. But what she has goes even deeper than that. L. Lived identity. From the very beginning, Millie protects people. And no, it's not because she's trying to prove anything. The first time we see this pattern is in high school. She has a crush on a guy, then she finds out he sexually assaulted another girl. So she stands up for the victim. Now, the part that hurts the most is the girl doesn't even stand up for her. She doesn't support Millie, and sadly, she had to take the fall alone and serve 15 years in prison. And practically, that should have been the end of it. If standing up for someone destroys your life, most people would stop there. They would say, "Never again." Yet, Millie never did. Later, when she enters the Winchester house, she still moves like someone who protects, even when protection costs her comfort and risking her safety. Let's compare this with all the other characters in the movie, because there are few who stand up for Nina selflessly throughout the movie, but they have a why. Enzo helps because his sister went through abuse. The police officer helps because her sister was traumatized by Andrew. Nina helps after she personally lives through it. Their empathy is rooted in experience. Millie's isn't. She helps because in her mind, that's who she is. And that raises a bigger question. Why do some people act according to their values even when it costs them everything, while others only act when it affects them personally? Psychology calls this moral identity. People with a strong moral identity don't see morality as something they turn on and off. it is not situational. They don't think, should I help? They think, I am someone who helps. That difference changes behavior completely. But what I loved about this part was something deeper that's rooted in psychology, which honestly changed my life. It's called self-perception theory. Your brain builds your identity by watching what you repeatedly do. So, every time Millie stands up for someone, she reinforces something internally. I am someone who protects. Over time, that belief becomes stable. If she doesn't act, she would betray her own self-image, and this is where her confidence really comes from. Calm requires confidence. You cannot stay steady under threat if you don't trust yourself. Millie trusts herself because she has evidence. She has proven again and again that she acts according to her values even when it hurts. She knows who she is. A lot of us don't. And this is where the real-life lesson comes to play. Self-respect isn't built by positive affirmations or self-improvement videos. It's built by following through. When you promise yourself you'll wake up early and you don't, your brain notices. When you say you'll finish something and you don't, your brain notices that too. Each time, you quietly teach yourself that your word doesn't matter. Over time, that erodes self-trust. Then, when life tests you, a part of you already doubts your ability to handle it. Confidence is built by keeping small promises to yourself repeatedly. You say you'll do it, you do it, again and again. That's how identity stabilizes. Millie doesn't stay calm because she has lived as someone who acts, not because she's fearless, and that's the L in the code, lived identity. Now, composure gave her control, agency gave her leverage, and lived identity gave her stability. But there's one final piece that both Millie and Nina had, yet their versions of it were very different. And it's a very common thing we're all told we need, but rarely show how to actually have, and that is mental resilience. You see, we all need mental resilience in some capacity. And if you really think about it, both Millie and Nina had mental resilience. In the end, they both figured out a way to get out of the mess they were in. But the way Nina dealt with it was through pain, panic, and a sense of urgency that kept her in survival mode. Her resilience was about survival, whereas Millie's resilience is rooted in her calmness and mental strength. So, why are some people able to be resilient like Millie while others aren't? To understand that, you need to know how resilience is actually built. There's a saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But let me tell you, psychologically, that is absolute bullshit. In fact, what doesn't kill you actually makes you weaker, unless you process it. Think about Georgia from Ginny and Georgia. She's one of the most resilient characters I've seen in a while. She just keeps going no matter what life throws at her. I love her character, but here's the thing. Inside, she's actually weak. She's never processed what happened to her. You see her suffering in silence, especially when she can't sleep at night, carrying the weight of everything she's gone through. Now, her resilience comes from survival, but because she hasn't processed her trauma, she's stuck. She's not thriving, she's surviving. And that is where the psychological difference really comes into play. Nina has been through a lot of hardship, just like Georgia, but she hasn't fully processed that hardship, and that's why she's still just surviving. Now, look at Millie. She's been through her own trauma, yes, but she's processed it. She's learned from it, and that's why her mental resilience is stronger, more powerful, and even more effective. It shows in how she responds to everything that comes her way. So, resilience isn't about enduring more pain. We're all going to face pain in life. We're not going to have a pain-free life. But resilience is about how we process that pain. That's what truly builds resilience. It's not just about going through more hardship. It's about how you deal with it. Just because someone has a tougher life than you doesn't mean they're more resilient. What matters is how they process it, and that's where Millie and Nina's stories are different. And that's it for today's video. I loved making this video. Seriously, it was so much fun. Let me know what you think in the comments. I absolutely love hearing from you guys. And if you're enjoying what I'm doing, show some love, hit that hype button, and subscribe. If you really want to support me, watch one more video from the channel. I'll leave a few right here. Thanks for all the love and support. I truly appreciate it. You guys are the best, and I'll see you in the next one.